Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and as always, here with my husband, Noel. He's back there running those graphics for us, doing our cameras. Hopefully not driving me crazy this morning. So far, we're off to a good start. Pete and repeat, good morning. Let me get these analytics out of my way so that I can actually see the chat. All right. Hello, Crafting with Chris. Good morning, everybody. And Kaya, I don't know if you're here, but good morning. Thank you for that sweet message when I opened the show this morning. That's always nice to start a show off to. So you guys, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping, talk about some normal stuff, but then I thought I would do, good morning, Alpine. I thought I would do a recap on my shipping from this weekend, just to let you know, pass along. I know we've talked about it before, but how did that look for me? How did it turn out financially? And just kind of talk about it since it was the first weekend. And then we're going to talk about AI from last night, our discussion on the Reselling Roundtable. Good morning, Wild Daisies. Hello, Debs. Okay, so first of all, housekeeping. What's coming up tonight, you guys? Zelby, good morning. If you are just starting out, or maybe you are already on your journey and you just kind of want to go back and say, hey, did I set the foundation right? We are doing Setting Up Your Reselling Business workshop. Starts tonight at 7 p.m. It's going to be for about an hour, a little bit longer. If there's a lot of questions, I'll go longer. But it is a 4-week series, a 4-week workshop on Whatnot, 7 p.m. every Monday night for the month of August. And we're going to start tonight talking about business structure and kind of all that stuff you need to know before you even really start your business. Then next week is going to be more about bookkeeping, record keeping, some of the administrative logistical stuff. And the final 2 weeks of the month are going to be really focused on those first couple of shows. So Setting Up Your Reselling Business workshop starts tonight. Here, I actually wrote it down. So tonight, hobby or business. Next week, taxes and your numbers. The week after is your first show. And then the final week, we're going to talk about shows 2 and 3 and beyond. So if you know somebody who's just starting, great workshop for them to come and log into Whatnot. So there is no fee to be on Whatnot. You can just log right in and ask any question that you want. So that will be tonight and for the next 4 weeks. I'm super excited about it. I have started to implement now at least once a quarter. We'll be doing workshops. So we'll be doing a whole month of these type of workshops. This month is Setting Up Your Reselling Business. November, we're going to be getting ready for taxes. So we're going to be talking about what do you need to do for taxes. December, our workshop is going to be on planning for the next year. And then we'll do another one early in 2027, which I haven't wrote yet. I'm not that far ahead yet. I'm just now starting to work on my 27 kind of plans. So, and then tomorrow, you guys, good morning, Kate. Tomorrow, we are going to be doing I Spy Vintage. $1 starts, free shipping. Don't miss it. It's going to be a fun one. But we're going to talk about shipping. My plans have changed. Why not vintage? Good morning. Southern Charm, hello. My plans have changed a bit on how I'm doing shipping. So we're going to talk about that. You guys, look at this. Oh, did I do my back call? Oh, you did my back call. Thank you. Look at this, you guys. Got to show you. We only have 6 tickets left. Good morning. Good morning, Dogwood. We have 6 tickets to PA Meetup. We're almost sold out. Now, I say 6. That's stretching the truth just a little bit. I have 6. Jeremy at Green 13 has less than 20 left. So in total, we maybe have 20 tickets, maybe, between the two of us. So I only have 6. And then once they're gone because we have reached our max capacity for the facility. We are capped out at 125 people. This is amazing, you guys. We have pretty much, we're close to selling out tickets in less than 3 weeks. Super excited about this. He's slacking. I know. So this is funny, you guys. When it was in his show. He was doing a chat show. And we were talking about tickets. I was in the chat just typing, and I said, "How many tickets do you have?" And he's like, "Oh, less than 20 or something." At this point, I think I had 9. I said, "Oh, I only have 9." And Jeremy goes, he's like, "Oh, you must be a better seller than me." I'm like, "Wait a minute. Do we have this recorded? I need this memorialized that Jeremy at Green 13 just said this." He was just joking. It was all in good fun. But if you guys don't know who Jeremy at Green 13 is, good morning, Robbies. Y'all are missing out. Awesome guy, really great channel. They sell vintage jewelry and vintage decor, mainly jewelry. They've kind of moved away from the odds and ends stuff. But we also do and Philly Girls coming. We also do a podcast with Green 13 and I Love Discounts on Sunday evenings called the Reselling Roundtable. Definitely another one you don't want to miss. That is on YouTube at 6:30 every Sunday evening. Last night we talked about AI and how Whatnot bot shaped. There it is right there if you're not subscribed already. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. Let me see. Trying to unpin. There you go. Thank you. So we'll get there. But if you're not subscribed, highly recommend. Great podcast. Not just because I'm on it. I would watch it even if I wasn't on it. But let's talk. It was an interesting. Y'all, last night I was off last night. Like if you go back and watch podcast, I was off, extremely quiet last night. I was just off. I was tired. And you ever just have a night, and it wasn't like I was in a bad mood. It was just a night that my brain was slow and I was tired. But we're going to talk about it today. So that's good that I didn't give all my thoughts last night. So I'll have some fresh for today. Thank you so much, Favorite Finds. Okay, let's do shipping. Let's talk about shipping. Why not vintage? Thank you. You know what? I really think it's great information too. Again, not because I'm on there, but because you get 3 different perspectives. That's what makes it good. It brings 3, almost like 3 Whatnot chat shows together into one, where you're hearing from everybody. Our biggest struggle, little transparency, our biggest struggle is being able to not necessarily keep up with the chat, but when you have so many people answering questions, it seems a while between somebody asking a question and for us to fully address it. That's kind of probably the biggest downfall in my opinion, but we do get there. Yeah, and sometimes 5. Sometimes we get Noel's in there. He was just holding me signs last night. He wasn't talking last night. Okay, so let's go over my shipping numbers, and we'll sell some stuff, you guys. I only have a few things. I'm trying something new. We're trying out on Mondays and Wednesdays. We're going to lessen the number of items, but we're going to have themes. Today's theme is red. So everything we sell is going to be red today. You can get a little sneak peek back here. Throughout the show, we'll sell those 5 items at some point. Unpopular opinion by Tramelto. What is this? I like the shipping change. I don't have to worry about if I have the right box. Tramelto, I'm with you. I like it too. Yep, surprise ending. I like it too. I am totally with you. And we may be unpopular. We'll see. Look at Southern Charmed. Maybe we're not. Let's talk about it because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Good morning, Erin. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it too. So what I'm going to tell you is pre-change. So I'm looking at my Saturday show. That's my biggest selling show of the week. So I have Saturday show from the week before the change, and then Saturday show from 2 days ago after the change. So while I pre-change, I sold 83 items, 36 shipments. After the change, 65 items, 42 shipments. So the number of shipments are different. But what I did is I broke it down to a per box cost so that we can compare apples to apples and really understand if it cost me more or cost me less. Now, both shows, I did $4.50 reduced shipping. I didn't change it at all. And I did change my settings. I'll tell you how I changed the settings. So pre-change, so before the change, I used random pulls at 8 to 11 ounces for every single item. That means the customer paid $4.50 on their first purchase, and then I picked up all the rest for whatever purchases they made after that for shipping. So 8 to 11 ounces pre-change. After the change, so this past Saturday, I did 4 to 7 ounces because you know how the incremental, it increased the price incrementally. So 4 to 7 ounces got me to that same price point where the customer paid $4.50 immediately. They weren't charged any more than I picked it up after that. So that was the only change I made, is I dropped my random listing down to the lower to 4 to 7 ounces. So a per box rate at the end of the day when I shipped it out, pre-change, I was paying approximately $7 per box in shipping cost. And that's not to buy the box. That was out-of-pocket shipping expense. With me doing $4.50 shipping, I was paying approximately $7. And I know you're doing the math in your head. You're like, $4.50 plus 7, that's more than the $9.21 that it used to be. Correct. You also have to understand, I sell vintage decor. And if somebody buys 3 or 4 items, that usually means I need 2 boxes for them, usually. So when I say I paid $7 a box, that is $7. That includes the $4.50, includes what I paid during the show and after, and what they paid. So it's across the board. $7. Now, this Saturday, when I did the show this Saturday, that decreased to about $5.23 per box. I actually saw a decrease in my shipping cost of $1.77 per box. I think I can even get that lower, and I'm going to tell you why. I know exactly what drove my cost up this Saturday. There were some things that were more expensive this Saturday. It does add up, but, and this is where people get freaked out, I did sell some bigger pieces. Here's the thing too, you guys, and Mama was right. She was in in both shows, I'm pretty sure. I know last week for sure. Your furniture piece. I didn't hold back. I sold my normal stuff. I didn't change the mix of the products. It was the normal. Had kind of made a little name for myself on Saturdays of selling 5, 6, 7 bigger items, like one box, 7, 8 pound items. I have tried it yet. Tomorrow's okay. Well, great. Maybe we'll kind of give you a little bit of insight on how it's working for me. And I suggest everybody reach out to your friends, talk to each other like, hey, what did you find? How did this work out for you? What are your insights? This is the only way like we're all going to learn is by sharing good information with each other. Now, when I say I paid $5.23 out of pocket for every single box, that sounds a little high. It's not really if you put it into perspective. I only charge $4.50 during the show. So I already was picking up half the shipping cost to begin with. And that's not a bad thing. It's intentional. I picked it. I chose that number. I know what I'm doing in my business. So while it seems high and people freak out and they're like, oh, I can never do that, you also have to understand that my bids were higher and the number of orders are higher, and it offsets those costs. So I'm not going to get into the whole, I mean, we can if you have questions, but about why it works and why it doesn't, but it works. If you have specific questions on how to make it work, we can go that direction. But overall, my shipping costs were still in line at around 18 to 19% for my reduced shipping. So overall, my shipping when I do $4.50 is around an 18 to 19% cost, and it was still in line with that. So it didn't cost me more. It actually, I said, overall, it was about the same per box. It dropped down just a tad bit there. Here's what I did notice. I used varying box sizes. I did not use any priority and no flat rate. So I used only USPS ground brown boxes, no priority, no flat rate, not one in any shipment I did this week on Saturday. Now, the week before the change, I used a lot of priority. I would say probably 3/4 of what I sent out in some type of a priority box. This week, none. I used totally brown boxes, 8x8s, all the way up to 16 by 12 by 10s. So I had a whole range of boxes. My most commonly used box is a 14 by 12 by 10 is my most common. The 16 by 12 by 10 is an oversized box. You will be charged a little bit extra for dimensional weight on a 16 by 12 by 10. Yes, Pete and repeat, you got it right there. Here is what my biggest observation from shipping. If I had about 8 orders go out in a 16 by 12 by 10, which is slightly over dimensions. If that person was close to me, a relatively maybe 100, 200 mile distance, I maybe saw an extra $1 or $2 charge. Not that much. It was very, very reasonable charge. I didn't worry me when I saw that charge. However, I had a customer in New Mexico. I'm in Pennsylvania. Same box, same weight. That was hitting around upwards of $18 to ship. It was expensive. I really, really saw a huge, significant difference when I was getting into the 6 to 8 pound boxes and they were getting further away. If they were just like right around the Pennsylvania area, wasn't bad. But the minute that distance started getting in and the weight and are using just a little bit of an oversized box, I saw a drastic change from what I'm used to in the prices that I was being shown on my adjustments. So what does that tell me? No more big stuff. I'm bummed out about it because I love, I have learned I need to order 8x8s. Yeah, I use a lot of 8x8s too. Surprisingly, I'm using more and more. So I love to sell big items, like not huge. I'm not talking, like this, but I'll sell decent sized things. I can't do that anymore. I have decided, good morning, that I will do maybe 1, possibly 2, depending on the show and the amount of items. And that's it. if it's not less than 12 inches, I'm probably not going to be selling it a lot, 1 or 2 per show tops, because it's going to cost me too much until we get other shipping options. Good morning, Brandy. Exactly, Pete and repeat. I do not like to limit my sourcing. I have been very just kind of free on bringing the bigger items. And we actually make jokes about it in my show because it drives my husband crazy because I'm like, oh, I got to ship this tomorrow, you know, and then he rolls his eyes. It's just not going to happen. That is where I saw the big difference is hitting around 6 to 8 pounds. The further it went and just a little bit of dimension, jacked that price up so much. Someone said from North Carolina to Washington, their overage is 21. Yeah, I believe that. That's in line. SS Vintage. That's in line with what I was seeing. I'm used to paying overages. Like I said, when I do the big things, I do heavy things. I'm used to seeing, oh, I got to pay $4 or $5 extra for this box. I'm okay with that. That 4 or 5 was upwards of 14 to 20. This time, depending on where it was going, it was significant where I felt it. And I was like, oof. I did have shipments I had to unbundle. I had quite a few shipments. I had probably 4 or 5 customers that had 2 or more boxes that I had to unbundle. So I have never done a show yet, besides like a Monday show where I'm only selling a couple of items. My Saturday shows, I always have unbundling in them every single week. So there are customers where I am paying the full price of the box because they pay $4.50 towards the first box, box 2, 4, 5, or whatever, I'm paying the full cost on. If it was between 1 and 5, it saves me money. Overall, because the majority of my boxes were between 1 and 5, my overall shipping cost did go down slightly. Once I remove all of my big items, this next weekend, I fully intend to see even a more savings in my shipping cost. But I wanted to go into this for the first weekend and just do it as close to the same as I possibly could so that I can really understand what was happening. And that was my observation. No more big things. At least a limit 1 or 2 per show. I just can't pay $14 to $20 5 or 6 times in a show, even when I'm paying, you know, doing $4.50 shipping. I'm not afraid to pay shipping, but I'm also going to be smart in how I do it. I love discounts. So that's it. Has anybody else? What are your experiences? Both. Taco Cat Lady, both. I do. So the boxes that I sent out that were in the 8 to 10 pound range, that's where I really started seeing a difference, is 8 to 10. When they were ones that I couldn't, like, they were either 1 item or they were 2 items that even if I separated them out, they would be over 5 pounds each. So the boxes that really got me were the ones that I didn't have a choice on reducing the weight. Like, it is what it is. There was nothing more I could do about it. One was a large platter. I had a Fiesta ware platter that was like this. I mean, I'm talking, I think it was 16 inches. It was a big platter. It was just one nice big old ceramic platter, and it was like 7 pounds. So there was nothing I can do. It is what it was. Southern Charm, you're going to do $5. I think that's smart. I mean, I know that you've been around a while. You know your numbers. You understand that the impact. You guys, if you're thinking about doing reduced shipping, now's the time to do it. Because what is everybody doing? Everybody has a knee-jerk reaction, and they're pulling back. I saw somebody offering, what was it? I swear it was like $15 max shipping yesterday, somewhere in that ballpark. And I looked at that, I'm like, how is that necessarily a deal? I mean, I guess it's a deal because if you're not paying all, Aaron's coming to the PA meetup. If you're not paying all, I mean, I guess 15 could save you if you buy a lot, but if you guys do $7.75 or less, you're really setting yourself apart. Do you think customers will be willing to pay more shipping for large items? They would if they want it bad enough. Yes, I think anybody who wants something bad enough will pay the shipping for it. I don't disagree with that sentiment, but I think you have to know your customers. I know the majority of my customers are resellers. Resellers want the little shipping as possible because that's part of their cost of goods. Knowing that, I'm designing my business to appeal to that. At the same time, if you're a collector and you come in and you see $4.50 shipping, you're going to be just as happy as the reseller is. So by going lower, I am not excluding or hurting anybody. If the higher the shipping you go, you now are starting to limit your audience in the sense of If I'm a reseller and I see high shipping and I've got to resell that item, that goes into, how much profit can I make? And I'm probably shying away from it. Okay, so make this easy for this alone. What size box and weight should be the target? Super simple, 12 by 12 by 12, 5 pounds. That's what I would suggest. I've seen $25 max shipping, $56. See, now that, to me, that's not a deal. To other people, it may be. I'm just saying for my buying, how I would go in and buy, I would see $25 max shipping, and I'm like, just put buyer pays all at that point. Why? Like, to me, I'm really ever going to hit $25 max shipping. I probably won't pay it. Unless, again, it's a collection. I'm buying something for myself. I bought something from Southern Charm, a beautiful blue milk glass piece the other day. I got it, by the way, Southern Charm. It's amazing. I would have paid full price shipping. She only did at that point, I think it was $7, but that was for me, for my personal collection. If I was reselling it, I wouldn't have paid full shipping for it. I did $12.99 max shipping and people seemed receptive. Okay. So the $12.99 to me, because that's flat rate. If you're doing something that you can utilize all those flat rate boxes and your customers know that they're filling up a full flat rate, I can see that being like a value to them in their head. They're like, oh yeah, I shop with Cornelia all the time. I'm going to fill up my whole flat rate box for $12.99. But I think it really goes back to what you're shipping. I'm doing vintage decor. I rarely can fit stuff in a flat rate. I mean, I can do buyer pays all. I can guarantee you if I did buyer pays all, my sales would decline, my bids would decline immediately. If a buyer buys 12 items weighing 9 pounds, yes, I would reclaim. Thank you, my love. I got that. If a buyer buys 12 items weighing 9 pounds, if you can unbundle those 12 into 2 5-pound boxes or a 5-pound, 4-pound, I would 100% try that. Okay. Let's step this back here. Let me give you a better answer. I would first, how much would that one box, if you put it all into one box, how much does that cost? Then if you were to separate it into 2 and you did $7.75 times 2, so we're at what, $15.25, $15.50? Is it cheaper? Which way is cheaper? I am guessing, just based on what I saw, that putting it into 2 boxes would be a little bit cheaper. The other thing we have to consider, we're buying our boxes now. I don't know about you guys. My boxes are averaging 80 cents to $1 a box, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on size. So if I separated a thing into 2 boxes, $7 to $7.75 each, I'm going to add $1 in my head just because that's the box packing material. I'm up to about $8.75, $9 a box. So that's $18 if I had 2 boxes. So if I put everything in one box, what's the shipping? So you kind of got to think it through on both angles and then do what's right. If I already have it boxed up, thank you, my love. If I already have it boxed up and then I want to separate it, I'm going to think about the time. I'm going to think about, is it really worth it? If I'm saving a buck, I'm probably not going to do it. So I used the what not recommended settings. I was not prepared for it to auto bundle it and memory for the second shipment. Oh, and it memories for the second shipment, I learned. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying there, Erin. I'm missing a word in there. But basically, what I'm pulling out from that is you had a learning lesson just like I did this weekend. I buy my boxes from the Boxery and or Amazon. Little combination of both there. Do I know what the charge is for a 5-pound box using regular priority? We can still choose that. I have not tried that. I did not do any priority. But in the whatnot announcement they made, they said that regular priority will be approximately $5 more than the ground price. I don't think it's an exact $5 because the wording, I think, if I remember right, was approximately $5 more. So if ground is $7.75, I'm guessing that's around 12 something for that scenario. My shipment settings, I did all random pulls, 4 to 7 ounces were my shipment settings. I had to pay $7.08 to unbundle and couldn't use an adjustment. Oh, that's it. Yeah, a lot of my changes were not covered by my adjustments. I still had the adjustments, and they covered really little ones, but not my big changes. Buyer paid enough shipping to cover both boxes, so not sure why I had to pay to unbundle. Lake Erie, I don't know neither. That is definitely a whatnot question. Like I would write down all the math on that and contact whatnot. Because if buyer paid enough for both boxes, if buyer pays all, I mean, you shouldn't be paying. It auto bundled over 5 pounds into 2 shipments for you, was not prepared. Oh, so it automatically separated it. That's interesting. I wonder, Aaron, if it was in one box, if it would have exceeded that cost of the 2. Whatnot bundling is supposed to bundle or separate into other shipments based on the best shipping option, like the cheapest way to ship it. That's how the Whatnot system is supposed to be set up. That's why if we sell 20 items, they put it all in one box, particularly those of us doing a random with like a low weight listing, they'll put it all in one box because in the system's head, they're thinking it's like 7 ounces and that all could fit in one box and that's the cheapest way to ship it. So that's how it's supposed to work. I would not be surprised if there's some kinks in their system somewhere because of all the changes. That's reasonable to expect. Whatnot charged shipping during the show, didn't allow me to choose to change the flat rate before. Whatnot, so Trap House Treasures, Whatnot does charge shipping in real time. Whatnot charges shipping in 2 ways. When somebody wins an auction, immediately during the show, shipping is charged at that point to the buyer and or the seller, depending if you're doing reduced shipping or not. Immediately, based on the settings. Then after the show, when you're packing your boxes and you're adjusting your box and your weight sizes, if there are any additional charges, you are then charged the additional portion after the show. So during the show, you're going to be charged based on the settings that you have set up for the individual item and your overall shipping for your show. Shipping also goes by zones. Yes. And shipping's always gone by zones. That's not new. But what is new is that previously, I think Whatnot, the contract they had, gave us a drastically discounted rate on when you're shipping things far away off of the commercial rates. I don't think they're getting that much of a discount on the commercial rates anymore. The increases I was seeing for oversized packages going far away from me were closer to commercial rates than I have ever seen them before. This is your first Whatnot frame. This came up when I searched up bubble glass frame. Sorry. I do not have any bubble glass frames, but thank you for asking. How can I avoid that? Is there a setting that will alert you if I can use flat rate? Trap House, are you doing pre-listed items or are you doing random pulls? That would be my first question for you. Pre-listed. And let's see, allow me to choose flat rate before. If you're doing pre-listed, I hate to tell you to do it this way during pre-listed. The only way to be charged less on the front end is using a lower weight. Are you doing buyer pays all or are you picking up? It sounds like you're picking up some of the cost here. If you're going by actual weight of items, I think it would automatically unbundle your 4 to 7 ounce. You control the back end is what I'm understanding. Correct. I do 4 to 7 ounces up front. So I'm charged the least amount on the front end, but I always adjust on the back end and pay whatever the appropriate shipping cost is. Always adjust. So that is correct. That I don't want to overpay to begin with. I'd rather pay exactly what I need to at the end. I was able to fit orders in a flat rate of $12.99 max shipping. Okay, so that's Trap House. That's kind of where it's coming in is your weights probably exceeded the 5 pounds. So your weights already hit over the 5 pounds. So if you sold multiple items that you're able to fit into one box and you had, 4 items at 2 pounds each, that was 8 pounds and it was calculated off of ground if that's what your setting was. It was because you had ground. In order to change that in your settings, if you want it to be capped at the flat rate, you need to do 1 to 5 as ground, over 5 as flat rate. Then you can change it on the back end, is my understanding. That's how it worked previously. I didn't try it this time. I used ground and ground. So if anybody else has tried that and you have other information, please, please, please put it in there because I want to make sure we're trying to give out the best info that we can. Well, you shouldn't have, that's not changed. So Trap House, those 2 settings that I'm talking about, 1 to 5 pounds and over 5 pounds is on your show, not on your items. Your items is just the weight of your item. Is there any buzz about how long the flat rate for $12.99? Not that I've heard reclaimed. The only thing that I've read is they'll let us know. They said approximately a month before November 1st. So beginning of October, maybe we'll find out something. Unfortunately, it just is. My suggestion, if you can get used to not using flat rate, I would try to start being prepared in my business not to use flat rate. We know that's up in the air. We know that might go away. Plan for it. If you want to keep using it until the very last, but at least have a plan in place, because there's a really good chance that they're just going to take it away completely. I don't know. Let's think about what happened. They said they were taking it away. Immediately, I am sure Whatnot got a ton of flack, a bunch of pushback from larger sellers that really rely on the flat rate. And Whatnot was like, whoa, we pissed off a bunch of people. Okay, let us get some intermediate temporary solution here, which they brought the flat rate back at $12.99. So it could go either way. Absolutely, Pete and repeat. Get it down now before you get busy for Christmas. Yeah, you always have. So Presley's, you should, and I'm not getting on you. You said you've never done this before. I'm not getting on you, but yes, always change your dimensions. Look, I'm not calling anybody out. We all know there are sellers out there who tell you, oh, you don't need to change dimensions. You don't get charged for that yet, but you do need to change dimensions. Okay. It says it in terms of service, and it also says it on the USPS website. You have the person you agreed, the platform that you agreed to follow their rules tells you you're supposed to change it, and the shipping service that you're using's rules say to change it. So by not changing it, you are deliberately ignoring two rules that you agreed to follow in your selling. And right now, in our carrier adjustments, they're not dinging us for dimensional, but they said they will. It is coming. If you read the carrier, go to your carrier adjustment screen, read all the information, and also go to help.whatnot.com. It tells you right now the carrier adjustments are for weight only, but they will be incorporating dimensions. I've never used flat rate, but it looks appealing now since I have heavier boxes. I don't be charged differences. Correct. If your buyer's paying $775 reclaimed, you would just pay the difference if you have max on at $775. If you guys are selling stuff that fit in a flat rate, and you also have a plan for November 1st if it may go away, I would say use it. I used any flat rate I could up until the very last moment last week. If it's an option, use it, but have a plan in place. How many guys do you see selling flat rate boxes of candy? The change killed them off. The whole flat rate thing did, but I'm hearing, see, his and her Chicago shop, I think this is super interesting because I'm hearing so many people say that, oh, I'm just charging $12.99. And that their buyers, I'm sure all of you guys see the same thing. It's been all over Facebook. People flipping out. There's so many opinions. This is all I've read about for days since Friday, and the change went into effect. People are still using the flat. People are still like, yeah, $12.99. It sucks. I don't like the increase, but we're going for it. And it seems like people are still buying. So I'm a rule follower too. I am to the letter rule follower, except for when I'm driving, I speed a little. I'm new and I have lots in my shop. Do I have to go in and edit each item for new shipping now? No, you just change it in the show. The items in your shop should be the weight that they really are. They should be the correct weight for each individual item. You change your settings for your show. So you don't need to go into every single item. That would be a huge headache for everybody. The cops me too. That's it. That's all I have on shipping. I have other stuff we can talk about, but that was the real thing, is just to kind of overall, for a vintage decor seller, my two big takeaways. No more big items. Well, one limiting to 1 or 2 big items per show. That is it. And price is going to go down. Those are my 2 big takeaways for me. That's how it's going to affect me. 8 to 11 and fix on the back end. And there's no magic, you guys. I know 8 to 11 is thrown out there all the time. There isn't a magic weight. If you're doing something on the front end, there's no magic weight. It depends on what you're trying to achieve with it. I use 4 to 7 because 4 to 7 for you guys is like $4.60 something cents, I think, if you go look at the chart. And if I'm charging you $4.50, that means you pay the $4.50. I immediately pay a tiny bit, and then you get free shipping. It doesn't 8 to 11, whatever, 11 to 13, whatever the next. There's not a magic number. It depends what price range you want to be in for your customers. It's still a good price. I pay $12 for a large envelope to mail four full-size sticker sheets at the post. Oh yeah, look, I totally agree. We're still getting cheap shipping. It's way cheaper than doing it on your own. There are things that I mail outside of Whatnot, not Whatnot stuff, just in personal life, like Mama's saying. And I go to the post office and I am like sticker shock at the post office. And I'm like, oh my God, like I should have just made this a listing and had my kid buy this from me so I can mail it through Whatnot. Like the regular postal rates are crazy. Good morning, the serial hobbyist. So that's my takeaway. I do 8 to 11 because I sell heavier items. Yeah, me too. Sticker shock at the post office. All right, you guys, we can keep talking about shipping or we can move on. We'll talk a little bit. Actually, before we move on, let's sell something. Let's do a quick little run something. We're doing red. Does anybody like red items? Oh, I know. A book of stamps is crazy. I only buy like 3 or 4 at a time. I buy bulk and everything else, but stamps, for some reason, I cannot pay that price I just don't use them enough. It bothers me. All right, let's do this one to start with. We're doing all red today, you guys. I have 5 red things. We're not going to do all 5 today. But y'all, look at that. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that pretty? Shipping is basically the same. However, the seller buys the box. The auction house charges up to $300 to ship 3. Oh, my goodness. His and her Chicago shop. Do you guys purchase a lot at auction? I do, but only local. The shipping on vintage is crazy with auctions, like $300. I can't get that back. Like my prices aren't there to get that back yet for the quantity. Things are just so heavy. All right, you guys, check this one out. This is a beauty. Almost everything glows today. This is not a glower, but it is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I love this red. Now, I'm pretty sure it's flashed. I can see some little spots here. You can see in the flash glass occasionally, but for a flashed piece, it is still in amazing shape. And I love this diamond point cut along the bottom here. Stunning piece. We're going to go ahead and run that for $1, $4.50 shipping. Let me get over to my little auction tab here. Oops, I didn't want to pin it. I want to run it. We're going to run this for 10 seconds. And that's dry dusting only for flash. Oh, correct. Thank you. Thank you, the Vintage Gypsy. Yes. You've got to be careful with it because it kind of does rub off. That's why you see a lot of people have cleaned it incorrectly. This one's in wonderful shape, though. It's beautiful. No chips or cracks. It is gorgeous. Jeanette with the first purchase. Congratulations.
Thank you for your first purchase.
Do I get a thank you? We're going to do one more, and then we'll talk a little bit about AI. How about that? How about, we got a couple different pieces back here. We're going to work our way up to the big guys. Let's do this apothecary jar because this one is so gorgeous. Think about Christmas coming up, you guys, or just the fall season. Look at how beautiful this apothecary jar is. This is in wonderful shape. You've got that big, long, like stem on the lid there, so it fits in there neat, nice and neat. No chips or cracks. It is a stunning piece. It stands, let's give you a measurement so you get a good feel for it, about 8 1/4 inches, and that's going right now. AI was our theme for last night. It sure was. Thank you so much for your bids. Got my coffee cup hiding back there in the background. I'm messing up my background's aesthetic. Rustic Relics. Thank you so much. That one's heading to you. All right, we're going to talk and then we'll get to the last 3 items back there in a little while. We are starting to go a little bit less items on Mondays because I'm putting more into Tuesday's free shipping shows. Good morning, Demi's talking about shipping cost. I did. We just wrapped up shipping. Nope. Oh, Delta. Yeah. My husband's reminding me. Y'all, quick intermission here. We're going to take a little rabbit trail. Delta, can you put your question in again? Delta came to a show last night. I did. You guys, did anybody see Blasian Bunny's Better Together seller support Ray train yesterday? Does anybody catch any of that? I was on the train, and on the Ray train. I was the very last one, and it was a great train. There was so much good information. And Delta came in and asked a question, but because we only had 20 minutes, I'm like, please come Monday, ask me on Monday. So we're going to answer whatever the question is. So Delta, I'll give you some time to put that in there. Do you put in your cost? Thank you. All right. So the question was, before we talk AI, we're going to talk inventory just for a sec. When I'm doing my inventory, do I enter my cost for each item, either on my spreadsheet, in my accounting records, in Whatnot has a little field for you. So do you do this? I do not do this. I calculate my inventory on averages. I do not look at each individual piece. So I will buy, if I go to the auction and I buy a whole bunch of stuff, I have 100, let's say I buy 50 pieces, I pay $100. That's $2 a piece. I'll just record $100. And then I have a sticker system, which I will put on so I know the approximate cost. That was $2 a piece for those items. That way it allows me to do an inventory count and understand the value of my full inventory that's sitting on my shelves. I do not record each individual item. When you are a newer seller, or you're I don't want to say a small seller, but a seller not selling high quantities, if you're only selling 20 or 30 items a week, it's easy to record it item by item by item. I'm at close to 200 items a week. I don't have time for that. I just flat out, I don't have the time to do it. I do it all by average. Yes, if you get stuff from me and you see little stickers on there, it's because I forgot or my kid didn't take it off in shipping, something like that. They usually remove pretty easy, but I've been trying to remember to get them all off. So that, I hope that answered your question. If that didn't and you want more specifics, please put it in, type more in there and we can keep going about it. But and thank you for coming back, Delta. I appreciate that. Okay. AI, you guys. So last night, Reselling Roundtable, if you don't know what that is, it is our podcast with Green 13 and I Love Discounts. We talked about how Whatnot bought Shaped. Everybody heard this? Y'all are aware Whatnot bought an AI company. They acquired the company. Shaped will probably no longer exist. They're just now, I liken it to like their general counsel for Whatnot. Watch the stickers on Flash, guys. It will. Thank you, His and Her Shop. Thank you. Very good point. Usually I stick stuff on the very bottom of things. So they bought, there's a Reselling Roundtable. So there it is, AI in the future of live selling. So they bought Shaped, which is, we all believe that it's going to completely change the face of how we sell. We know AI, we all use it here. Probably every single person in this room today uses AI, ChatGPT to some extent. If not, you probably have Copilot on your Microsoft stuff, or you're using AI in Canva. It is everywhere. It's not going away. It's here to stay, and it's only going to get more and more prevalent in our lives, particularly in our live selling. What we know, and here's the thing, there's very little of what Whatnot says specifically, this is what it means. And then there's a whole lot of speculation. So I'm going to start with what we know for fact. And then after that, the rest of it is speculation. So you know that, it is our opinions of what's going to happen. The goal for Whatnot, and this is fact from what Whatnot says, is they're trying to match the right viewer, the right buyer to the right seller in real time. So think about this. You go to a static site and you type in, L.E. Smith swung base. You're on eBay and you type that in. Well, there's a bunch of listings there and it'll match you up, and that's great because it's all kind of set there in the background and all they have to do is look through files and match them together. Well, on Whatnot, that's a lot harder. We know Whatnot came out and told us 90% of what is sold on Whatnot is sold through random listings. So I may have the biggest collection of L.E. Smith vases, but if I haven't entered them into, like, pre-listed them or put them in my marketplace, and somebody comes to Whatnot and types swung vase, they're not going to know to come to me. There's no way that Whatnot is going to say, oh, hey, this buyer needs to go see Zoe's Treasures because this is what she specializes in. So that's what they're trying to get to. They're trying to figure out, how do we take this live environment where things are happening in real time within seconds, think about some of like 2, 3, 4 second auctions, right? And match these people up. That's where it's heading. That's what Whatnot says that it's heading to. They're taking it from like, it used to be a couple of days time to match down to a day. Now they're within a few seconds of being able to match people up, and they want it to be like microseconds, like immediately be able to match people. And when we start thinking about the, well, we'll get to a behavior in a minute. Right now, currently, we know AI reads show titles, item descriptions, item titles. So the stuff that's already printed in, typed in, AI is reading that right now. We know that that's happening. We also know that AI studies buyer behavior already. And when I say AI, the discoverability, the algorithm that's happening, we already know. Whatnot tells us that it looks at buyer behavior. It looks at categories you shop in, categories of the items that you've purchased, various pricing points. So there's all this information that they already have that they're pulling from the buyers. And then if the buyer is always shopping in vintage, they're going to match it up to vintage decor people on their For You page. Whatnot wants to get that even more specific. That's where this AI is going. So that's really about all we know right now as far as what is it reading. What Whatnot tells us is that this shaped company will give it the ability in the future sometime to hear our spoken words, to be able to, when I'm showing something, for it to recognize what I'm saying and in real time pop my thumbnail onto somebody's For You page, because I'm selling swung vases, even if they're random polls, but I'm here saying, hey, here's this swung vase, L.E. Smith, blah, blah, whatever it is. And whoever has bought that in the past has buyer behavior that supports that. My thumbnail will now show on their For You page in some context. That's where we're getting to. That's not happening today, but that's in Whatnot what they said where this is going, because it will be able to recognize spoken word. They also said in the future, this again is speculation on how this is going to work. This is kind of implying from what they said where this is going, is things in the chat. It'll be able to start to pick up what's happening in the chat. And I'm going to talk about why this is important. But right now, Whatnot sees activity in the chat. Currently, we know help.whatnot.com tells us it sees the activity in the chat. And that helps boost you in the algorithm. It means people are engaged in your show. Ultimately, in the future, using this technology by Shaped, some of the stuff that's happening in the chat should also play into not just activity, but the words that are being used in the chat, the descriptions that are happening in the chat. And I didn't think about this. Lysandra from I Love Discounts, I've got to give her 100% credit for bringing this up on the show last night. And to hear more about it, you can go to the show and see the podcast. She thinks that there'll be like a Google Lens or some type of a visual recognition. Thank you for your purchase from the bin. That when you hold up an item, it will automatically pick that up, kind of identify it is a Fenton Silvercrest, bowl, and use that as part of the data to bring people in. So they haven't said that, but speculation on that makes sense, right? I mean, there's already other platforms that have some capabilities like that. So think about what this means to you. This is the part that gets me excited. And you guys, this one's on YouTube also. Our show is always on YouTube. My husband's telling me to make that reminder. So if you guys want to rewatch any of this show, it's on Zoe's Treasures at YouTube. Some already use AI for show cards, theme ideas. If they use Shape, you should get better buyer matching, smarter searching. Exactly, Mama. That's it right there, 100%. You are completely correct in that and everything there. What interests me the most about this is, one, good morning, Swamp Chick, from a seller's perspective, I want to understand how is Whatnot matching buyers to me. If I can understand how the buyers are coming to me, I can then change my behavior as a seller to help that along. I do not have time scale motivation to list the thousands of individual things I have, but I've made a place where I can. And House of Duke, you won't have to. Look, there's value in pre-listing. There's also value in random polls. AI is going to make it so we don't have to pre-list, and we can still get the same buyer-seller matchup in real time. I think it already does suggest pricing. If you go into ChatGPT and you put a picture of an item, it will give you prices. I don't know if Whatnot will suggest pricing. It may. Think about that. You're pre-listing and you type it in, and it may come up and say other people who have sold an L.E. Smith swung vase have priced it at this. I think that's probably a simple expectation that it may do in the future. Because I know you can just go into ChatGPT and get that now. So that like exists, right? During a random poll show, the auction is run for 30 seconds. How much time is between someone seeing it in time for the page and going to the live? They're trying to match it up in milliseconds. They are trying to match it up instantly. And it's not always necessarily they need you to come in right for that product, because we're going to talk about this too. We're going to talk a little bit about consistency. I think consistency and categorization is going to be huge in this. And this is my speculation. You guys pull from it what you feel is best. Okay, yes, just send all the whales. That's what we're just going to start typing whale. Send me people with a lot of money. Doesn't mean it is always reliable. Correct. AI is fallible, 100%. Where I can list 100 items that I do have, I would do that. Key search words, yep. Dense vectors and sparse vectors, hybrid search. The shaped is, I believe, that a lens search is coming. Yes, when I didn't think about that, but yes, my love.
Mamas, that already exists, and I use it to create clips. So you can use it you can just feed it a video, or you can feed it a YouTube link, and it'll create the clips for social media, and you can tell them to be viral, and it actually does a very good job. And
I for beauty, and it may. I do not know how fast somebody can get in, but there's far greater uses, I think, in matching up the right buyers to the sellers, not just for the immediate item being sold. That's part of it. And I'm going to talk, give me a second, I for beauty. I'm going to get there, because I'm going to talk about how is this going to change, at least from my point of view, how we do things as sellers.
Mamas, that tool, all you need to do is just put your username and password connected, and with the click of a button, you can create the clip and then share the clip to multiple platforms.
And thoughts on cross categories. I'm going to talk about that when we get to consistency in just a second here, because I do have some thoughts on that. Mine differ from my counterparts last night on the Reselling Roundtable. So where I think this is going is how we describe our items, how we sell our items is going to be far different. We are not just selling to or appealing to a customer. We're also appealing to future customers, to the unknown customers. So when I'm talking and selling at a show, I'm not just talking to the people in my room. When this finally really starts getting into play, we're also going to be talking to the people that possibly may come to our room. And I think that's where our thinking as sellers needs to just, change a little bit. This is off topic, but are they going to provide us with hot labels along with the shipping labels in an invoice? I don't know what a hot label is. Is that a typo, or is there a thing called a hot label? Hot label. Explain. Jules, explain a little bit more and I'll try to answer. Once you know the keywords, couldn't you take advantage of that and get viewers even though you're not actually offering? I for beauty, I think there's always going to be ways to try to scam the system, but it goes on behavior too. So consistent behavior, and scamming consistently for a long, long time becomes difficult. You can't keep it up. So I think, yeah, there's going to be people who are going to try to do that, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term plan or model that they're going to be successful on. Any advice on shipping swungs, how to ship affordably? His and her Chicago shop. Yes, my love. What am I missing? Y'all, thank you. Let's see. I do not know what I'm missing. Oh, it's a sticker that automatically has the name on it. Hot list sticker that automatically has a name on it. I have no idea what that is. Oh, like, my goodness. Y'all need a husband? Y'all, because I got one. I'm ready to get rid of. He was fine an hour ago, but y'all, I'm ready to get rid of. It's what MR Zoe, thank you. what a hot label is a sticker that prints immediately. I'm guessing that's what everybody's telling me when you sell an item. Notbot does that. We have an extension that we do for free that does it. There are ways to get that. It's not through Whatnot, but there are ways that you can get that. Okay, now let me go back. Sorry, I've never heard it called that. So that's a learning thing for me. Shipping swings, how to ship affordably. His and her shop, I don't think there's a way to ship it affordably. I'm going to do this one today. I'm going to be limiting my big items. That's the only way for me that I'm doing it affordably, is to limit it to 1 or 2 per show. And that's it. Other than that, I'm finding the size and the weight is just jacking the price up. When we pre-list and build bookmarks and pin those items, people who bookmark get a notification we are live, even when the notifications and pin those. Correct. Not bookmarks. If you bookmark an item, yes, they get by liking an item, clicking the bookmark thing for the items, they get a notification. They don't get notifications for bookmarking shows. So yes, I do agree with you, Faye West, when I read that. Okay, do we know what time frame when the new AI search engine will be in place? We don't. They've already bought the company, so they're already shaped as part of Whatnot now. They are full speed ahead on this. When we were at the Seller Summit, they were like, they want to get this down to like microseconds, milliseconds, whatever you call it, absolute real time. This is something that's in place right now. I would speculate that we're going to start to see changes continually. Every few months, I'm sure there's going to be a new change coming out. This is just going to be an ongoing thing. It's going to get better and better and better and better. It's not going to be like, oh, hey, next August, everything's changing. It's just going to, as they can develop a tool, they're probably going to be rolling these new features out or building them into the algorithm in the background. And goes to an AI mod saying what the item is, reminding people to bookmark, telling you there is a new buyer accepted. That would be crazy. Mamas, that would be crazy. I am not sure I'm on board with the AI mod. I can see that. This is all speculation, you guys. We are into the point of speculation. If there is something that's fact, I'll make sure I say that. Right now, we're talking about possibilities and what we think this means for us. I would be a little nervous about an AI mod, but I think as we start to move along, we would become more and more comfortable with things as it's built in just little bits and pieces, right? Whatnot didn't sell. They bought Shaped. Whatnot didn't get sold. Whatnot bought. They acquired an AI company called Shaped. Shaped will no longer exist eventually. They'll become a legacy company. They are now just part of Whatnot. Or maybe something seller can program in place of a person modding. Possibly, if you can program it to follow your rules, that would be a little bit better. I still think we need control to some degree over what's happening in that area. He can never be replaced, Pete and repeat. I love him too much. Occasionally I'd like him to go somewhere else for a little bit, but I always want him to come back. Okay, so let's talk about how this is going to change for our spoken words, okay? When you're showing items, when it gets to the point where it's picking up on what I am saying, I don't want to say, okay, here's another bowl. I want to say, here's another vintage Fire King jadeite bowl that's 9 inches in diameter. I want to be specific when I start talking. I'm going now to start selling to not just the people that are in my room, but I want to start appealing to the AI and the people who may come to my room. Does that mean people looking for a jadeite bowl is going to hop into my show right then like that? Possibly, possibly not. What it does do, though, is it installs that into the data that AI is collecting. The more Fire King jadeite bowls I sell, the more AI starts to say, hey, Tracy over here sells this. There's a buyer over here that searches for this. Let's mash them up together. Yes, Southern Charm has got a red chat. She sold a vintage jadeite bowl yesterday, and I was a little in love with it, but I couldn't afford it. So it did make its way into my notes, Southern Charm. So, it's pinned. It would stay until bird theory. 100% agree with you. I hate that the announcement goes away. I announced it because I want it there. 100% agree. So think about that. I think that's going to change it in one way. The other big thing I think it's going to change. This is my speculation. So agree or disagree. totally okay. Pull out what you feel is right. AI likes organization. Let's think about this. AI is built on categorizing things. AI doesn't process like logic, like emotion, feelings. It doesn't process. It processes it by order, organization. The more ordered we are as sellers, and I'm going to give you the thoughts on what order means, the better AI will bring us the right buyers. The better it can match us up to the people out there searching, right? So what do I mean by order and organization? Consistent show titles, consistent language in your shows, consistent format in your shows. You know, all these things we talk about, consistency is going to become even more important as we move forward with AI, because the more you're doing something the same way, the more AI knows what buckets to put you in to match up to the buyers in the same buckets, right? It just makes sense. I'm not getting super complicated and, oh, AI works this way. This is just basic level, this makes sense thinking. So if I constantly run fast-paced shows, and we talked about this last night on the podcast, and people who like fast-paced shows, and if I do this in every single one of my shows, I keep the same kind of general pace going, AI knows, hey, she's running an item about every minute. These buyers always go into shows where the pace is about an item a minute. Let's match them up, along with all the other factors they're looking at, right? So everything we can do to remain consistent is going to help AI categorize us and match us to other people. It could show the best order to show your, it possibly could, mamas. I'm sure AI. Now, I've actually used ChatGPT to do that, where I'll put in items when I would pre-list and say, what would be the best flow for these items based on price, based on item size. Like, you can give it parameters on what you want to do. So you can already do some of that with ChatGPT. So this goes back to, somebody asked the question earlier, what do you think about cross-category sellers? Will this maybe hurt them? I asked this question last night to I Love Discounts in Grade 13, because this was something that the exact same thing came in my head. When I think about order, I think, okay, if I'm selling jewelry 2 days a week and selling vintage decor 2 days a week, is that going to confuse the AI? After talking through it and hearing I Love Discounts in Green 13's answer, I don't think it will. Based on what they said, you'll have to go listen to them, exactly what they said. I don't think it will, because I think AI, it reads your overall behavior. It's reading buyer behavior and it's reading seller behavior, and it's taking those two things and matching all these people up the right way. So it's going to know that Tracy does vintage decor, and it'll match the people who like that. It's going to know if I did jewelry, right? I don't do jewelry anymore, but so I don't think it's going to confuse it. What I do think, though, is within those categories, you need to be consistent within those categories as to build that, the show flow, the pacing, the language, the way you're doing the engagement, if you're pre-listing, if you're random. So I think the consistency within those categories, because think of it high level. What's the first thing AI is probably, like, if you had to categorize and match people up, first thing you would do would be like, these people like cards. Okay, they're in the card bucket. These people like vintage. Let's put their names in the vintage bucket. Put these ones in the jewelry bucket. And then we go down to the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. And we get more and more and more specific until we're really matching them up, right? So I don't think cross-category is going to hurt it, but I think the consistency within your category is going to play a high part in it. With buyer name from Noah. Cherished Echo, send me a DM and my husband will get it over to you. Just send me a DM. We don't sell it. Well, he'll just share it with you. So just send us a DM so we remember. That makes sense of it. AI will be able to, eventually they're going to be able to hear our spoken word. Here's the other thing. Your idea. It would have a harder time figuring it, mama. So at first that's what I thought, that if there was two different categories, it would, I thought, make it harder for AI. But then when I got in my head, like, imagine the buckets, I'm going to be, as a seller, in both buckets. I'm going to be in a jewelry bucket. I'm going to be in a vintage bucket. So AI understands that, and it's going to look at my vintage behavior. This is speculation, you guys, okay? It's going to look at vintage behavior. It's going to look at jewelry behavior and start matching based on that. So ultimately, I think it's smart enough to be able to identify the different behaviors in the different categories and match you appropriately. Again, This is my speculation. We don't know for sure. That's why I love hearing your guys' thoughts so that we can, let's hash this out. Let's get some ideas. Because regardless of what happens, us being more descriptive in our words, us engaging the chat more, it isn't going to hurt us. The things that I'm talking about changing in the way I sell isn't going to hurt me at all. So I might as well practice so that I'm ready when these things come into play, or I'm ready just to make little tweaks to how I'm doing it based on whatever they do start rolling out. When AI will read our thoughts, hopefully never. That would be a disaster. I would completely confuse AI if it read my thoughts. 100%. They would be like, that girl is freaking crazy. Will it help you list? I would imagine so. I would imagine that it would. Already, look at when you go to ship, it already suggests things. Like, here's similar items that weigh like what your item weighs. I think that's a given. So, do you think it'll take spoken word to put into search engines, or finding people putting in those keywords? Teresa says, I think it's going to use your spoken word as data to help match you up to the right people. So, for example, if I say this is what I used before, here, up next is another bowl. Let's do an example. Let me sell something and we'll do an example. She came in and said hi earlier, I think, unless that was you, Tony. We are on the Reselling Roundtable. It is on YouTube, 6:30 p.m. Sunday evenings. It is also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where you can rewatch. There it is. Thank you. I love discounts. I've got two things. Let's sell these before we get to the big guy up there, and we'll talk about it. So, if I were going to change the way I'm going to sell to try to appeal to not only everybody in the room today, but also to AI, I would put this up here and I'd be like, you guys, look how gorgeous this is. I shouldn't stop there. I shouldn't just tell you how gorgeous it is. We're used to, because you can see the item, maybe I don't describe it as much. So maybe I should be, this red is so deep. It is a gorgeous gravy boat. If I knew the maker, saying, hey, this is a whatever. I don't know the maker, so I'm not going to tell you a lie. But if I'm thinking about AI, I'm going to want to say, this glows. Doesn't? No. Around the top. You can see it. Yeah. It has a cadmium glow. The handle doesn't glow. Does it? No. It's around the top. It has the orange glow around the top. I want to say it has a manganese glow around the edge of it. How sweet is that? I want to talk about those key words. I want to make sure I'm using those in my descriptions when I'm talking about the item as much as possible. This is my opinion, my speculation on how this might work. I am going to run this, though, you guys. It does have the cadmium glow all around the rim. It is really gorgeous. Beautiful gravy boat. We're running that right now for $1 for anybody who might like that piece. I guess the question becomes, will it optimize for the seller, the item, or the buyer? All three, mamas, all three. Thank you so much for your bids. This is it's a substantial piece of glass. This is a heavy, nice piece of glass. It would make a great planter too. I think that would be a gorgeous planter. Great for Christmas. Oh, absolutely. Any of your holidays. Blessed, not stressed with a first purchase. Y'all, can you throw some ducks in the chat,
Thank
please?
you for your first purchase.
Thank you so much. We're going to run this one, and then we'll get to the swung vase before we're done. So now I wouldn't say, oh, hey, now we have another red piece. If I'm thinking about AI, one of the things I'm going to incorporate is to say, did you like that last piece? It kind of was reminiscent of an amberina. This one is too. This has that gorgeous cadmium glow. Look at the amberina, features on this. How beautiful is this vase? It is a bud vase. It stands so many inches tall. I want to talk about it. Most of us, 9 inches tall, we already talk about our products, but think about what key words you can naturally incorporate when you're talking about your item. Now, this is before, I'm not talking about where Google Lens kinds of sees it and does it. I'm just talking about right now. What are things we may be able to do to help encourage us and help AI learn who we are? I am going to run this. It is a little cloudy on the inside, so I would recommend a denture tab to clean that out. No chips or cracks. That's running right now, and it does have that gorgeous glow to it. I have all my lights on, and you can still see that glow coming out. That is so pretty. Deb's Sweet Country Home is in for it. QVC sell. You know, his and her Chicago shop, Shaped, actually was the AI company for QVC. Interesting enough. Southern Charm, thank you so much. That one's going to you.
Thank you.
So if you go and read, like on Shape's website, they actually did a lot of the stuff for QVC. The other part of this is the chat. So in the announcement, one of the things it said about Shaped is that it picks up on all the activity and the language, the words, everything that's happening within the show, right? Not immediately. This is a future thing. So when I read that, what I take from that is how we engage and interact with the people in our room is going to have effect on the data that AI is collecting on me as a seller and the items that I'm selling in order to match up the correct buyers. So I want to be able to create reasons to interact around my items. When I was holding the vase, I up here, I could have said something like, hey, what would you guys put in it? What's your favorite flower? How would you decorate this? How would you classify this vase? There's some of the same questions we're already asking, but if you can engage and then the chat starts talking about, I would say, hey, what design aesthetic do you think this falls into? Is this cottagecore or would you use this in farmhouse? And the more people in the chat saying, oh, farmhouse for sure. No, cottagecore, absolutely farmhouse. Those are key words that are picking up in the AI eventually, and the AI is gathering all this information on you. So my speculation, again, this is completely Tracy speculation, is that the way we engage with our chat, the words that they're using, that if I could change some of the way I phrase questions, could help AI learn about me and my room and my show a little bit better to bring the buyers that want that kind of environment. So, all right. What's next? What else? So, any other thoughts? I would love to hear what you guys think this is gonna come to. Think about it from the buyer's perspective. They said they analyze buyers, they analyze sellers. If somebody constantly goes into other shows, and here's the point that we made last night. I'm gonna get to it. They go into other shows and they buy primitive decor. Okay. Even if they've never been in my show and I sell primitive decor consistently, same show title, once a month, primitive decor. When I'm talking about it, I'm using the primitive decor words. I'm describing good. People are talking about primitive in my chat. I'm hoping AI will see, oh, Tracy sells primitive. Buyer over here goes into all these shows and buys primitive. That could be a good fit. So it's taking people that you may never even know you existed, but because of what you're doing within your show, this is helping you with your outreach. So us being able to understand how to best get AI to know us will bring people in. This is like you going on social media and blasting on social media, hey everybody, I have a big primitive decor show, and you're just hoping all the people scrolling through is going to see it. This is the next step. This is even better. Now you have a computer in the background looking for those people and making those connections. It's like the dating game in real life, but to like sell vintage decor and clothes and glass and sports cards, right? So, this is the other side of it, that sellers will be sellers will not be replaced by AI hosts. Tracy prediction, I will call it now. And you guys could all come back and tell me I'm wrong. I will listen to it if I'm ever wrong. But this one, I don't think I am. This is going to level the playing field. This was a Green 13 point last night that I agreed with. You got to go back to listen to the whole thing. This is going to level the playing field. Now, Whatnot. How many of you do you think Whatnot, For You page, or who goes into what room, popularity plays a part in that? How many of you do you feel that popularity on the app plays a part in the people you get in your room? I do. I 100% do. Is AI going to completely replace that? No, because there's still an entertainment value. There's still this engagement, right? There's still, you want that social aspect. But it will even the playing field. I love discounts. It's going to now, instead of just sending people who like certain items to bigger sellers, it's going to allow those of us that don't have 300, 400, 500 people in our room to have a fair share because they're matching up likes and interest. Popularity is a feeling. AI doesn't run on feelings. AI runs on categorization, right? Putting things in the correct buckets in its most simplest way to describe it. So this is going to even the playing field for sellers of all sizes, not just the big guys. This is good for us. Buyers or sellers based on show personality. Absolutely. 100% Delta Martin. It is going to, if somebody's always clicking into shows where people are yelling and screaming and boom, 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 sudden death auctions, and that's all they click into, AI is going to be like, this is the shows that you like. I'm going to keep suggesting these shows to you. I'm going to keep matching you up with those people. That's it right there, mamas. That you've hit the nail on the head. That is the exact reason why we will not be replaced by AI. AI can bring them to you. You got to keep them. Your personality, your environment, all these things that we've been working on and trying to improve in our shows are still vitally important skills that we need as sellers, because like Mama says, AI will drop them in your room or show, at least put your show in front of them. They might not bring them to your room, but put your show up there. It's your job to get them to stay. Good morning. Whatnot, Kate, Whatnot is already using AI. They've just purchased a company called Shaped, which is a huge AI company, and it is going to be, from here on out, the sky's the limit. AI, it's not going away. We're going to get in deeper and deeper in a good way. I really feel it's in a good way. Yeah, send me some buyers too, AI. That's right. Send me people. Send them. So that's pretty much all I had. I really, here, I had what are some other things we can do? So let's talk about that. Add a favorite list button. You have a favorite. Shiny squirrel. On your phone, if you go down to the bottom where it says activity, click on that. And then along the top, there is a saved tab. And anything that you have favorited, anything that you have bookmarked is going to come up on your saved. So they kind of have that. Maybe it's not called that, but there is a way to accomplish that. She'll come up for you in the spot for, hold on, good morning. So our show will come up in the For You spot or for other buyers to see. B. Haynes, eventually, yes, what he wants to talk.
For those of you who are curious, here you go.
There you go, right there. You guys can Google it, blog@teamwhatnot.com, and read all about it.
And this is what they expect to use it for. So there's a lot of information in there. I would suggest you go and check it out.
So Kelly, that's a really good question. What if you sell a different type of item each day? I'm assuming you're selling different items within the same category. I'm going to make that assumption because like in vintage, I rarely sell the exact same thing every day, right? No, different categories. So we talked about this earlier. My assumption, my idea on this is that it will get to know you based on categories. So you're going to have all these, think about big buckets. I'm just trying to make this as simplified as I can. You have a jewelry bucket, clothing bucket, vintage bucket. So you as a seller are in each of those buckets, right? Then your activity within that bucket, how you conduct the shows in vintage, how you conduct it in clothing. AI's reading that. Then they have all these buyers. At the very highest level, they're putting buyers in based on categories they like. That's like the easiest way to start to organize people, right? So now you have a bunch of people in the vintage bucket. Now we're going to go into the next identifier, and they're going to get more and more and more specific to they're really matching up those buyers and those sellers within those buckets. So while I think you can do it, what I think is important is within the bucket to be consistent as possible. Favorite sellers. Favorite sellers. Oh, I agree, Shiny Scroll. I don't know how to do that. If that's a possibility, anybody on Whatnot, let us know. How do you get to the page he just showed? Can you show how you got there, please? We'll show you. So anybody can go and find this. He'll walk you through the steps really quick. Yes, it was. The Old Lady's Attic. This is last night's podcast.
You can see on the very top, the address bar says blog.teamwhatnot.com. That's the address. blog.teamwhatnot.com. And the first thing you're going to see is going to be that. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see where the AI company is mentioned. So aside from help.whatnot.com, you can go to blogteam.whatnot.com for a little bit more news. Hope that helps.
So I wrote down 4 steps that I'm taking as a seller immediately to try to prepare myself for this and put me in the best position I can be in. This is the 4 things that I'm doing. 1, using descriptive titles and listings for items and shows. If I list an item, I'm going to make it as descriptive as possible. What does that mean? Keywords. You can already go to my shows. I've already changed like the next 2 months, and you can see where I've changed a lot of the titles already. So for my, for a show on a glowy glass show, if you go look at my next glowy glass show, it'll say glowy glass, manganese, cadmium, uranium. I forget what else I put in there. I'm going to use words on my show titles to help AI identify that this show may match something that a buyer is looking for. So I'm adding more SEO keywords to my titles in my shows. That's one thing. Additional tags. I love discounts. I didn't have that on my list, but I love that idea too. So tagging when you're setting up your show, making sure you're tagging. But for sure, my show titles for my warm embrace, baskets, neutrals, woods, metals. I'm going to actually name it. I may say brass, copper. I'm going to be as specific as I can in my title. Doesn't mean you can't use your cutesy title, but then add in those keywords because it's all being looked at now.
The old lady Sadek, Green 13 didn't have a show yesterday morning, and we were at the reselling roundtable. So you can find out the reselling roundtable.
Standardized branding. This is something I already tried to do already, but I'm having it even more focused on this. Same show names. Once I decide on a show name, I repeat that show. Again, let's think consistency, you guys. If you do, I'm going to do a blue show in January and a green show on Tuesday and a purple show in March. And where's the standardization in that? Where's the consistency in that? Think about how can I set up a series of shows that are the same show? I do 4 different types of decor, 4 Saturdays in a month. The 5th one is for some, oddball things. But for every single month, my primitive show is going to have the exact same title month after month after month. My glowy glass month after month. So think about how you can standardize to help put you in a bucket. When you're all over the place, when you're random and everything's different, that's going to start confusing AI. Where do they put, what buckets are they putting you in? Let's help make AI put you where you want to be, where those buyers are that you want. So think about it like that. What can I do so that I'm stuck in the right bucket where my buyers are at? So using those show names that are consistent, thumbnails that are consistent. If they could do a Google Lens search, if that's possible, you really don't think they're looking at a thumbnail? I think they're looking at thumbnails to some degree or reading the text on the thumbnail. There has to be something. This is speculation, Tracy's speculation. I think thumbnails will play into this eventually in some way, shape, or form. The colors that we use. This is just basic branding. The colors that you use. If I'm all over the board and my logo is a different color every time, doesn't that look confusing not only to my buyers? If that's confusing to a human mind, isn't that going to be confusing to an AI classification? Again, this is my thought, but that also goes back to basic branding, not just AI. Here's the other side of it. So opening routines. Whatnot has already told us the first few minutes in your show is the critical moments to get momentum going. They've given us this information. The Seller Summit, they said that. YouTube, right there. YouTube uses the text in your title and the thumbnail. So if YouTube's already using it, is it a stretch to think that it wouldn't be incorporated in other places? Probably not. Not a stretch at all. So Whatnot tells us our opening routines are important. So how fast you get that room rolling, get in there, get it going, get that momentum going, get the engagement up as fast as possible. So instead of coming in and saying, all right, everybody, hold on, let me fix my shelves. Is my camera right? Let me grab some coffee. Let's go for a walk. I mean, Maybe let's get in, let's welcome people, and let's get to selling. Think about your opening routines and making them consistent. All of us last night firmly agreed that the pace of your show will be something that is monitored within AI. So I have two more, but before I sell the other two, or before I say my last two things that I'm doing, I want to run our swung base, you guys. We've been holding off till the very end of the show. We've got about 30 minutes, so let's run this and then we'll keep talking and wrap up. You guys, I'm literally selling a swung base for $1 today. Look at this beauty. This is, I told you, I'm on a new thing. We are theming our Mondays and Wednesdays. Today's theme was red. We have already sold 4 red pieces. We're saving the best for last. What if there's no one in your show yet? You always do your show like you have a whole room full. It doesn't matter. If there's 0 or 1,000, do your show the same. Y'all, this thing glows. This thing glows so pretty. I did research. I'm going to let you guys do the research. If you like swung vases, if you collect this, if you just know somebody who loves this, here you go. Now, I should have done research so that I could talk and get AI to recognize everything that I'm saying, but I didn't. I'm going to let you just admire the beauty here. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can get the glow going on there. Oh, there it is. Look at we got a lot of lights going, but look at that beauty. Oh, my light's failing me. It is so pretty. It's a glower. It's an amberina. Beautiful swung vase. I'm going to give you a measurement on it. There are no chips or cracks. It is in wonderful shape. 18 3/4 inches. Just a 1/4 inch shy of 19 inches. Are you guys ready? I hope I have some swung vase people in here. I'm taking a huge chance today, but we are going to go ahead and run this for $1. Shipping, $4.50, you guys. Not bad. And it is up and running. You have 10 seconds, so start swiping really, really quick. This is going to go home to somebody for an amazing price today. I've been hoarding swung vases, so there are more of these coming throughout the next few weeks. I love discounts. I know you love Amberina. I know you do. It is a gorgeous swung vase, yes, and it will be packed beautifully. And I for beauty, thank you so much. This is going to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll stick it up here so you can admire it for the rest of the show. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Let's keep going on here. The other things that I am doing, that I'm personally have decided that I'm doing, I'm going to narrate with better intention. That doesn't mean I need to know everything about my product, but I am going to try to describe with more intention. Recently on my Saturday shows, I've just been like I did with the swung vase. Hey, I don't know who makes it. If you're a collector, you know if you like it, and I put it out there. I'm not going to spend 1,000,000 hours researching, but I am going to try to narrate with a little more intention so that I can get used to it. So when AI finally starts picking up on my words, I'm already in that habit. So describing my item, describing uses. I am also going to be focusing on increasing the audience interaction as far as how it relates to the items I'm selling, the aesthetic that's happening in the show, so that adjectives like we learned in school, 100%, even if that means writing some down. There were a couple of shows, usually it's like my glowy glass show because glass is the one that I have a hard time identifying. I will write little index cards on certain pieces to remind me who made it or something. So use whatever trick you need to do to help you out. I love the index card trick. I'll take an index card, write a few words, stick it under the item. When I pick up the item, I look at the card real quick. I put it down here and put the item up here, and then I can talk. Most of the times people don't even see the cards. Or if they do, it's so quick, they don't realize that that's what I'm doing. Will AI pick up on my description of the product that repeats the title, but may include the color and history of the, I think, oh yeah, if you've described it, if you're listing it, it's already reading it. We already are at the stage where it reads all of our titles and descriptions. That's already happening. Oh yeah, they are. And at my age, I have a ton of brain fog, so I need cards. Yes. Oh, K-Pot, they're already reading that. that's something that's already being searched. So 100%. Increase audience interaction in the sense of trying to phrase my questions to talk more about the items. I still think we need to be social. We need to talk about what we did last weekend. We need to ask how somebody's doing. None of that's going to go away. That connection is still going to be there. But I think there's ways when we think through questions. How many of you before a show think through a couple of questions that you might want to ask during the show to increase engagement? How many people actually spend a couple of minutes to think about, oh, when this comes up, I can ask about this? I love discounts, but you have a natural ability. I find it difficult. I have to kind of prep myself for things. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. So we have a few people that are like, I think through a few questions I can throw out there. That's a really good practice. Now let's take it to the next level. How can we think about questions that not only are engaging, that we're having that connection with each other, but may also tie into our show? If AI is looking at everything, they're looking at everything. Starting a poll. Now that's interesting. I haven't thought about how polls may work in the AI thing. I haven't considered that yet. Now you're going to get me pondering for the rest of the day. Writing questions that, there you go. This was a quote that I took from the Whatnots, the thing that Noelle showed you, the announcement. It says, teaching, this is what's happening right now, what they're doing with AI, what Whatnot and Shaped is doing. Teaching models to understand what's actually happening in a live video. So they are teaching the models, the AI models, to understand what's actually happening when we are live. So that means everything we're doing in our show is going to become that much more important. That ties back to my statement of not only are we catering to what's happening and the people here, we are catering to how AI is going to see us for our future people they're going to be bringing to us and matching up to us. So it almost, in my head, becomes less about being live, and maybe not less about being live, but there's a more importance placed on being understandable in my live, right? The more clear I am, the more I'm narrating with intention, that I'm engaging my chat becomes more and more valuable in the big picture of things. Final thing, clear product descriptions, recognizable themes, strong titles, changing the way we converse a little bit. Here's my final thought before we wrap up for the night, or the morning. Wow. This is solely me. And I mentioned this last night. I would love to hear if anybody else agrees, or if you disagree, that's okay too. Tell me you disagree. You know I'm big on consistency, in the fact that I think it is a terrible idea to reschedule your shows. I think it hurts you. If you're going to put a show in there, show up for the show. I think your shows should be as important as your 9-to-5 job. If your boss tells you to be at work at 9, you know your butt's at work at 9, right? Like, there's exceptions to every rule, but in general, your butt's at work at 9 because you don't want to get in trouble at work. This is your work. You need to be here on time. That's one of my pet peeves. I give people grace on 2 or 3 shows and I ain't coming back. I don't think you should reschedule or cancel your shows and be on time. Don't tell me you're going to be there at 9 o'clock and at 9:15 I've had your show sitting on there for 15 minutes waiting for you to come in the room and I'm just looking at a sign that says waiting for host. That's rude. I'm going to call it like it is. That's rude. I took my time to be there for you because you said you were going to be there. Okay? I think those concepts of being on time will play into AI. This is how I see it. And is it going to be the whole picture? No. Is it going to be a piece of the variable? I think it will. Let me read Mama's comment, then I'll go finish my thought. If AI is looking at me, then it's going to put a banner up. Probably won't be around long enough. She's old. Goodness, that's not true, Mama. So yeah, it's only the exception. It's not the rule that you live by. So AI generated product descriptions will be read by AI, which will then use AI to send buyers to our site, which is yes, and our lives will be controlled by AI. K-Pot, yeah. As ironic as that whole sentence sounds, I think that's pretty spot on. How many times have you written something by AI and then asked AI to analyze? I do this all the time. I will write a course. I will use AI to help me create at my full-time job a course and then feed that course back into AI to tell me what's wrong with the course. all the time. So being on time, in my opinion, is going to play into this. Think about this. If AI is collecting data on me as a seller, and I constantly reschedule my shows, I may be in the right bucket with all these buyers, and we may match up on a lot of these things. AI might be saying, look at Tracy does all this. These buyers love all this. These are like, this is a match made in heaven. This seller and this buyer is going to get along wonderful. And then there's another seller and they're like, okay, it's between Tracy and Bob, and this buyer matches both Tracy and Bob. You don't think AI is gonna know Tracy reschedules her show 75% of the time and Bob doesn't? Who do you think, if you were Whatnot and you were controlling this algorithm and you were Whatnot, who would you send it to, Tracy or Bob? If me and Bob are equal, but Tracy reschedules her shows, which one does Whatnot have a better chance of making money on? The one that's going to show up. I don't think it's the end all be all, but I do think it's going to play a part. Personal opinion. Then it's not a benefit to schedule too many shows. I don't think look. Do you see my shows? I don't think there's such a thing as too many shows. I think you can schedule out as many shows as you want. I think being on time for your shows, don't schedule them if you can't commit to them, is my thing. This is a personal pet peeve that I think incredibly hurts your business, and it's too common on Whatnot. It is too common. You hear so many people say, go schedule 3 or 4 shows. You can change them if you need to. Yeah, you go ahead and keep changing your shows, because every time you don't show up, guess what? I do. And every time your show drops off that For You page, mine is going to stay right there because I'm showing up. So it's always a few days before. Even if this is my personal thing. So there are exceptions. Look, we all get sick. Car accidents happen. Little kids fall and break their arms. Things happen in life. Pipes burst. There are things that happen that we have zero control over in our lives. Those are exceptions. Those aren't rules. You never know if you're in the building or not.
That's right, Whatnot. That's right. I love discounts. That's right.
I love discounts. Look at right there. I love discounts. I do. I'll go in the show and I'm like, I'll pick up my phone. Where are you? Are you doing your show?
Ooh, yeah, baby. Let's go. Woot, woot.
That's how important I think it is. And I think it'll play into the algorithm eventually. I think it's going to play into this AI. It's going to read who we are. It's really going to start to understand our habits, our selling, our style, how we run our shows as sellers. And all of that's going to be added together. There's going to be some, formula they used in different weights on all these different variables to determine where we appear on somebody's For You page of the buyer that likes all of those different variables. So think about it. All these things that we already talk about all the time are all important in moving forward in AI world. As a buyer, perspective is different, but after the 3rd time a seller goes to Showtime, there you go. And look, Sean, I had 3. I'll probably give you 3. 3, I'm done. Like 1 is grace. 1, something may have happened. 2, I'm like, how serious are you about this? 3, you're wasting my time. I'm not going to look at your shows. Look, I have a habit every day. Usually every morning I open my phone, I go to Whatnot, I go down to my activity and my little pull-up saved, and I look at what shows did I say that I wanted to watch today? Because I may bookmark shows in the future that I completely forget that I bookmarked, but I check in the morning and I'm like, oh, I love discounts on tonight. Or Southern Charms on, or Eye for Beauty, or Kelly's on. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bookmarked their show at 2. And then I start thinking in my head, oh, I don't have any meetings at 2, or that's over lunch. I'll pop their show on. If I'm going through that effort as a customer of yours, why aren't you saying, I have a show at 2. People have bookmarked my show. I'm going to show up. Even if you only show up for 5 or 10 minutes and be like, look, life is life in today. There is no way this show is happening, but I wanted to come and thank you guys for being here, to say hello, and I'm going to be back on tomorrow at this time. Like, how hard is it to just show up? You don't just not show up to your job. Why would you just not show up to your show? Emergencies come up and we're all human. Yeah. Fine. How much you think? Exactly. I tried to promote my friend, but after canceling 3 times, I'm embarrassed. There you go. I'm embarrassed to keep. This is it. You are very welcome, Laurel Mountain. This is a hill that I will die on. I don't care how many people disagree with you. Everybody has a right to have a different opinion and to disagree. But this is my hill, and I will absolutely die on this hill about canceling and rescheduling. This is a business. If you were to open up a restaurant, do you just decide, man, I'm tired. I'm not gonna go to work today. We're just gonna keep the restaurant closed for today. It doesn't happen in real life, in brick and mortar life. Why would it happen on e-commerce? Rainy D says, should that show be paused? Hold on, let me read. There, open the line. Is there a I was about to read Rainy D's and then I went up and looked at East Coast. I'm mixing everything up. Should that show be paused? I'm not, like, if you come on for 5 minutes and then you say I'll be back in an hour or something, I'm dealing with something, you could. My point is just being there, and if you can't do the whole show, to at least message it, make a mention of it. Rainy says, hold on. Yes, my love. What do you want to tell me? You want to talk?
I disagree. If you're going to pause the show and you're going to leave it on, that can be construed as a dead stream and you can be reported.
Yeah, you could. That is true. Have we paused a show before? I don't think I've ever paused a show, so I don't really know a lot about pausing shows. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know a lot about pausing. I have a favorite seller. She's consistently late or changing her shows. It's unfortunate, but I don't go back. Deb says, I've been consistently on at 11 a.m., but I'm testing later afternoon shows at 4. Am I hurting myself? Trying to get more people. What I suggest, then purely, again, take this with a grain of salt. Keep your 11 a.m. show. Show up for that because that's the one they know. That's the anchor. They know you're on at 11. Then also do 4 and start mentioning it and do a slow transition. So you start to phase one out while you bring another one in. That way you then can control the narrative. You can direct people to the other show. It is a change. It's change management. You're saying, okay, we're moving from 11 to 4, but you don't just cold turkey it, right? You manage that behavior, which takes some repetition in your people's minds to learn that your time has changed. We don't have smell-o-vision. A restaurant can start cooking in your nose. No. True, very true. In their real job. So you see the same behavior in all. Yeah, that could be very true. What does Mama say here? I went to a show. The new seller didn't close the show. Put phone in pocket, so it was just there promoting themselves. Oh, boy, I feel bad. I feel bad for that seller because you know how embarrassed that person was. I mean, I think it's kind of funny, but the caring side of me is like I kind of feel bad for that person. Let's see. The first year I was in my brick and mortar, we closed from Christmas to New Year's Eve 16 years ago. Have folks still ask, look at how that affected right there. One time, 16 years ago, and now they still ask. This stuff gets ingrained in our heads. I'm telling you, it hurts you. Constant rescheduling, constantly not showing up absolutely hurts you. I do my Friday shows. Am I the biggest, most popular seller on this app? By no means whatsoever. But I have been doing my Friday morning 7 a.m. shows for what, 2.5 years now? 2 years? For a long, long time. I used to get 5 people. I'm now getting upwards of 70 or 80. It is not because I am any different. Have I grown and changed a bit in that time? Yes. It's because I am on the same time over and over and over and over and over again. Think about the people that you deem successful. There are a few out there. Look at Donatella, is very successful, and she has made a whole business of being pop-up shows. But for the most part, those are the exceptions. For the most part, think about the people that you think are successful. If you go to them on a regular basis, you could probably tell me the exact day and time they're on. And a seller would also put shipping on. That's what it is, Haley, right there. That's why. Is once they start not showing up, it starts being like, okay, well, if you don't care about that, do you care about the quality of your items? It's a slippery slope, right? Do you care about shipping on time? If time doesn't matter to you, it leads all the way through. It's your integrity. It's who you are as a business owner. And it starts in, I'm trying to think of the word, permeating through the rest of the business and makes your buyers question. She also had a big following. True. I don't want to say, oh, it's never possible to be successful with pop-ups. I think those are the exception people. There's other reasons, like you said, a big following. There's other factors that are going to contribute to that. The general population, those of us who are like, I don't have a big social media, I'm coming on whatnot, starting from scratch and I'm building something, that consistency matters. So, all right, you guys, I think we are going to get close to wrapping. I know you were trying to wait for Liz, but I think we're going to go ahead and raid. I didn't read whose. All right, lady. Basically, she wore you guys out. I did. I just wore everybody out. I'm like, I'm going to keep showing up until somebody else shows up with me. That's it. You know what, though? You got to have that commitment. I talked about this last night. Commitment. I found out I can broadcast. But oh, okay. Well, but that's good, though, right? Unique Travelers, at least you can still make that connection with people. You can keep your anchor show time. You can make that connection. You don't lose a relevancy. Oh, I am so sorry to hear that, East Coast Island. That is awful. I really hope you're okay. I can't even imagine that. That just sounds painful. I'm very sorry to hear that. How bad am I going to get kicked down for rescheduling them? I would put a message on your show. You know, if you want to say why, say why. I'm not just medical emergency. We are going to be back on such and such day and time. That's the best you can do. Things do happen. There are legitimate reasons why we need to reschedule. Again, that's the exceptions. As long as that's not our habit all the time, that's okay. Even in your 9 to 5, you wake up with the flu some days and you got to call and say, I can't be there. You just don't do it all the time or you lose your job. So, selling is taxes and countries not allowed to cross borders. That makes sense, unique travels, travel treasures. That makes sense. That there would be a lot of regulations that they would have to deal with, and I can imagine not wanting to do that. Abandoned treasures reclaimed, y'all, right there. Let's see, which way is it? Wherever it is on the chat. Abandoned treasures reclaimed is our 5th speaker that has been added to the PA meetup. Let's talk about the PA meetup really quick in case you guys didn't know. PA meetup, October 6th. I think I only have 5 tickets left, you guys. Let me look. Oh my gosh, I only have 3 tickets, you guys. 3 tickets left to the PA meetup. We'll pin it right here. It is going to be October 3rd, 9 to 3 o'clock. Tickets are $28. As you can see, you get a breakfast, you get a lunch. You get some great speakers. So we have Abandoned Treasures Reclaimed, going to be talking about storage units. I'm going to be there. I'll be talking something about building a business, something around building business. Green 13 will be talking about arbitrary coherence. I Love Discounts is going to be talking about shipping. And Dragonfly Neen is going to be talking about sourcing. So we will have breakout rooms. We're going to have networking. We'll have a game. Good game. Introverts, don't worry. I got you covered. I'm an introvert too. We're going to have a meet your panel discussion. It's going to be in at Old Firehouse, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Don't miss it. 3 tickets. Once they're gone because we only have so much space. I have 3. Jeremy has under 20. That is it. All we have left. We're going to have about 125 people there. 125 people that you can come and network with. Y'all, I'm not going to be like getting a big old head about this, but I'm pretty darn proud of the fact of how this meetup is turning out. If you look at some of the most recent meetups, these are really darn good numbers. I'm really happy with the way that this is turning out. So I'm looking forward to it. It is going to really be a great day of networking and education. And some of, these chat shows you go into, you can go and meet these people in person and create real friendships. This is how real friendships are going to develop. Sunshine, me neither. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much. And I'm not going to give away all the things, but there's already little whisperings of let's get through this one and see what we can plan next. So don't know what that's going to look like. We have nothing definitive. They're just already like, hey, we're liking the way this is going. Can I broadcast the meetup? We are going to try. So we have a meeting set up where we're going to go do a tech walkthrough. Our goal is to broadcast at least 2 of our general sessions, so or some of the breakouts. The Wi-Fi at the location is not the greatest. So we are looking at utilizing Starlink and some other things. What can we do to make this a reality? We've actually One of Noelle's friends is an AV guy, a tech guy, so he's going to come and help us that day. So we're doing all we can to try to broadcast in different manners. Do I think it would be helpful for buyers? I do, to get to know. I wanted to do a buyer's panel. I'm still not against building in a buyer's panel into like the closing session. And I've asked for anybody who is coming, if you're a buyer and you're interested in being up on stage and answering questions, to let me know, send me a DM. And I got zero. I heard crickets. So I would love to do it, but it takes the interest from buyers to be willing to be up there. So if you are coming and you are a buyer, most of us are buyers or sellers, but if you do a significant amount of buying on the app and can put on a buyer hat and speak from that perspective and aren't afraid of getting up in front of, 125 people, let me know, because that is definitely from the very beginning something I wanted to incorporate. So I have an email address of everybody, most people, or I can DM through whatnot, but I'm trying not to spam. So I'm waiting until I gather a lot of information and then send out another email with stuff. So I probably, where are we? We're in August. By the end of this month, send out an email asking for if I haven't heard. And then another one as we get 2 weeks out from the event. I'm just trying to be very careful about how I'm using the emails that I collect. I don't want to spam people. I just want to give them relevant information and nothing, I don't want to bug people. We had a buyer's panel in Maryland and it was so informative. You did Abandoned Treasures, and that was my very first meetup that I went to, and I loved it. And that's where I got the idea. I think we could, I know most of us buy on the app, but it's really hard to segregate out the selling side of it. So hearing from people who are primarily buyers is a very different perspective, and it's really valuable information to hear. Post office put my name on a card. Oh, that one just, it's your buying. You bought. Well, mamas, do you want to come and be on our panel? So if you guys, if you're going, if your friends are going to the PA meetup, if any of you are buyers, just DM me and we'll get this worked out, because if not, if I don't get volunteers, I can't make it happen. Okay. Any more questions before we raid? All right. We're not going to raid those. We're going to have to raid somebody else because we got to go. You guys, but don't miss what Liz likes. Yeah, check it. Amtrak's not that far. That's why we picked the location. It's close to Amtrak and the airport. Oh, that's sad, Rainey.
But Liz likes her soap drop is today. She's, we were on the show, she started posting them on her show. So her soap drop is today. If you're a fan of what Liz likes, of her soap, I would recommend you go over there because they're gonna sell quick.
All right, and with that, we're gonna go find somebody to raid. You guys have a great week. I will be back on tonight with our Setting Up Your Reselling Business workshop. It is the first of a series of 4 Monday night shows that deal with setting up your reselling business. If you have friends who are just starting, maybe you're just a couple months in and you're like, I want to go back and make sure I have a good foundation. Y'all come to the show tonight. Let me tell you really quick. We're going to do, hold on, I got my notes here. Tonight we're talking about hobby or business. We're kind of talking structure. Should you be an LLC? Should you be a sole proprietor? Are you a hobby? Are you a business? We're talking all about the basic decisions you need to make before you ever even start selling. Next week, we're going to talk about taxes and your numbers, understanding that foundation of your business. Then we're going to talk about your first show. Then we're going to talk about shows 2 and 3. So come and see that tonight or send your friends. Okay, and we're going to go raid. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much. Does it stop at that location? It stops fairly close. You would have to Uber or something or rent a car. But there is an Amtrak in Harrisburg. But Pennsylvania's country. It's kind of spread out. Bye, everybody.